Welcome back to Inglés 4.0, the radio show. Let's go! Intermediate. Welcome back. Welcome to Intermediate Class 83. And let me just look into what I should be doing here. Let me just look into this content. Oh, yes. We were talking about the phrasal verb to look into, investigar. Yes, to look into. Investigar, mirar un asunto o problema. También considerar, estudiar una posibilidad. To look into a possibility. I'm looking into going to China. I'm looking into it. I'm investigating it a little bit. Or imagine I've lost something. I can say, I'm looking into the whereabouts. I'm looking into it. Or well, maybe if something doesn't work, I'm looking into the problem. I'm investigating the problem. So it's sort of a light investigation. We don't normally look into murder cases. Well, we could, but usually we use a stronger word. We would say we're investigating it. The CIA, la CIA, the CIA, they're investigating it. Look into is like, oh, my computer's not working properly. I'm going to look into it. I'm going to research potential solutions. Maybe my computer's going slowly. I'm going to look into ways to making it work faster, for example, to look into, okay? So now, should we look into the situation? Yes, we should look into the situation. Should we look into it right away? Yes, we should look into it right away. Are you looking into it now? Yes, I'm looking into it now. Have they been looking into it lately? Yes, they've been looking into it lately. Will you look into the matter? Yes, I'll look into the matter. Okay? Ask me if I'm looking into any new projects. Kyle, are you looking into any new projects? Yes, I'm looking into some new projects. I'm looking into them. I'm investigating them. I'm considering them. Some new projects, for example. Okay? We saw this. Now, yesterday we also started to practice the structure. Have you heard of someone or something? Okay? Oír hablar de alguien o algo. Have you heard of Keith Richards? Have you heard of him? Yeah, of course I've heard of him. He's the guitarist from the Rolling Stones. Have you heard of Keith Moon? Have you heard of Keith Moon? Maybe you have, maybe you haven't. He was the drummer from The Who, the 70s band, The Who, with Pete Townsend on guitar. Have you heard of Manolo Escobar? Yeah, of course you've heard of Manolo Escobar, yes. Have you heard of Terry Fox? Probably not, but Terry Fox is a Canadian hero. He's a guy who had cancer in the early 80s, late 70s, early 80s. He had cancer and he had his leg amputated. And he decided to run with a prosthetic leg across Canada, which is about 7,000 kilometers, to raise awareness and for cancer research and to raise funding for cancer research. So Terry Fox, considered a hero in Canada for his efforts for cancer research, a very brave individual. There's a great movie about him as well. You can research it on the internet. Terry Fox. Ask me if I've heard of Vicente Fox. Kyle, have you heard of Vicente Fox? Of course I have. Yes, the old Mexican prime minister. Or president, I suppose. Ask me if I've heard of DNA cloning. Kyle, have you heard of DNA cloning? Yes, I have. Ask me if I've heard of the Beatles. Kyle, have you heard of the Beatles? Of course, who hasn't heard of the Beatles? Everybody's heard of the Beatles. Just like everybody's heard of Real Madrid. This is a true story. Once I was in Malaysia. I was in the jungle in Malaysia. This is true. I'm not lying. I was in the jungle in Malaysia on a somewhat organized tour of the jungle in Malaysia called Taman Negara, which means, well, in Malay language, it simply means national park. And this giant national park, which is one of the densest and apparently the oldest tropical rainforest in the world, and very heavy, thick jungle. And I was there hiking with a group of 4 other people, and our guide introduced us took us to visit a village of Aboriginal, actually nomadic people who lived in the jungle. And they lived entirely in the jungle. They did have some contact with society. I mean, we were able to visit them, so they had some somewhat regular visits from groups that would go in and spend a night in their village, which is what I did. And they had not heard of the Rolling Stones, which is rare because I thought everyone had heard of the Rolling Stones, but evidently they had they had clothes that were made not made by them but brought in. People had given them clothes, or maybe they had traded clothes for other things, and someone had given them a guitar. A guy from a magazine, not National Geographic, but there was a reporter from a magazine who went and lived with them for 1 year and documented it and wrote a series of stories about his experiences living with this Aboriginal, or this nomadic, I should say, Aboriginal as well, tribe in Malaysia, in the peninsula and of Malaysia, because you have Borneo, and then you have the peninsular Malaysia, and Singapore is at the bottom. But now he wrote about them, and so he gave them a guitar, an acoustic guitar, and so a few of the men in the town, in the community, there were maybe 20 or 25 people that lived there. Some of them knew how to play the guitar because they had learned from this foreigner. And so I said, all right, Rolling Stones. And they didn't know the Rolling Stones because they were completely cut off from the outside world, let's say. But they had clothes from the outside world, from people had given them clothes and traded clothes and that sort of thing with them. And a guy came out of the tent, his tent that he lived in, like a hut or a tent, tienda campaña. And he came out wearing a pair of Real Madrid shorts. I'm not lying to you. So it was incredible. They hadn't heard of the Rolling Stones, but they had heard of Real Madrid. They're everywhere. Real Madrid, it's incredible. It really is. So, ask me if I've heard of Real Madrid. Kyle, have you heard of Real Madrid? Of course. Everyone has heard of Real Madrid. Word of the day. Well, our word of the day today is a la larga, which is, in English, eventually. Eventually. Not eventualmente. Eventualmente is not eventually, no. Eventualmente is occasionally. Yeah, eventualmente we could say occasionally. But here, a la larga, eventually. So, if you study enough, eventually you will learn. Right? If you keep working hard, eventually you will succeed. Eventually, with that V, eventually. Okay, good. Well done. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, you may know that I host another program here on Vaughan Radio called The Verb Circus. And on that show, I spent 3 entire episodes, talking about this one verb. Normally, I speak about one verb per program. I analyze it inside and out. I do translation with it, questions with it, analyzing all the different uses. And when it came to this verb, I called it the king of verbs. And of course, I'm talking about the verb to get. To get, yes. And when I came to this, I decided I had to do 3 full episodes because it is so dynamic. They use it for everything. Those Anglos seem to use this verb for everything. We do. We use it for a lot of things, the verb to get. But we're going to focus on just the basic uses here in the sense of conseguir, obtener. Basically, we have the verb, it can be to get, can be to, let's say, receive, which is passive. We receive it. We receive an email. Okay, we get an email. We're not doing anything. We're just sitting there and we receive it. Then we have to obtain, obtener, which is a bit more active because we're going out, like we obtain a driver's license, for example. We have to go out and take the test. Or the tests, and we do some work, and we have to earn it to obtain that driver's license. And then we also have to fetch, F-E-T-C-H, which is essentially to go out, acquire something, and return with it. But we won't worry too much about that one. But basically, the idea of acquiring something, conseguir, obtener, so to get, so we can get a job. For example, to get a job. Did you get a job last year? Yes, I got a job last year. Or maybe you're trying to improve your English to get a better job or to get a different job, to get a job that requires English, like many jobs do. Okay. Now, have you got a loan from a bank this year? No, I haven't got a loan from a bank this year. Ask me if I got a new car last year. Ask me, Kyle, did you get a new car last year? No, I didn't get a new car last year. I didn't get a new car last year. So remember, get, got, or get, got, gotten. Here we have 2 potential participles. We have 2 choices here. You can use either one. Okay? Ask me if I got a headache yesterday. Kyle, did you get a headache yesterday? Yes, I did. I got a headache yesterday. I don't get headaches very often, but sometimes I get them. Sometimes I get them. Maybe once a month I get a headache, and I did get one yesterday. I got one yesterday. I got one headache yesterday, but I haven't got a headache so far today. Ask me if I got a call from my mother last week. Kyle, did you get a call from your mother last week? Yes, I got a call from my mother last week. But I haven't gotten, or I haven't got a call from my mother so far this week. It's true. Vocabulary of the day. All right, yes, it's time for the vocabulary of the day. We've been talking about the verb to get there, but we will come back and see that in many other uses, many different, very different uses in the future, in the coming classes. But now I want to make sure that we have time to see our vocabulary and our translation list in a few minutes. So let's start with the vocabulary. The first verb, or the first word is a verb, criticar. In Spanish, the English is very similar. And what is it? That's right, to criticize. To criticize. The second word, regatear. To bargain. To bargain. So to bargain. $10. No. $6. No way. Okay, 8, 7, $7.50. All right, so to bargain. The verb to bargain. Now we also have the noun a bargain, which is a ganga. Vaya ganga. What a bargain. Medir. To measure. The verb to measure Every day I measure. Yesterday I measured. Lately I have measured. Yes, to measure. Measure my height. To measure something, right? To measure the distance. Measure the length of something. To measure. Llegar a un acuerdo. What is this one? Out loud. Always out loud. To reach an agreement. Yes, to reach an agreement. Very good. And finally, Día de la semana laboral. Much easier in English. We say a weekday. A weekday. So the week is 5 weekdays and the weekend, which is 2 days. Saturday and Sunday are the weekend. And then the weekdays, los días de la semana laboral. The weekdays are Monday through Friday. We say Monday through Friday. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday are the weekdays, right? The 5 weekdays. Translation. All right, did you hear that? Yes, that means it's time for a little bit of translation. Now we're going to try translation list number 20. Yes, number 20 already. Are you ready at home? I'm ready for this list. Let's do it. Una vez que empiezan, no paran. What? Remember, out loud en voz alta. Once they start, they don't stop. Number 2. Por eso siempre terminan los primeros. That's why they always finish first. That's why, es por eso. That's why they always finish first. Number 3. ¿Estás seguro de que esto es lo que quieres? Are you sure this is what you want? Are you sure? Number 4. Deja tu coche al lado del mío. Leave your car next to mine. Leave your car next to mine. Number 5. No me lo puedo creer. I can't believe it. We're out of time. I can't believe it. Well, we're going to have to believe it because we are completely out of time. But I would like to... before we go, let's try one more. Okay, are you ready? ¿Cuánto tardaste? How long did it take you? Good. How long did it take you? All right. We've done the first 6. We will do the rest tomorrow in our review, I promise. So be sure to tune in. You won't want to miss it. We're going to practice all this and so much more tomorrow. But we will be back in about 3.5 minutes with the advanced portion of the class. So keep listening. Keep improving your ear, right? Okay. See you soon. Bye-bye.